Listen to me. I shouldn't be telling you this. Hell, I've spent 50 years not telling anyone this. But if one young man heading back from deployment hears what I'm about to say and doesn't make my mistakes, then maybe this confession means something. My name doesn't matter. What matters is this. I came back from Vietnam in '71, just 19 years old, 364 days in the bush. I watched good men take their last breath in my arms. I saw things that don't belong in this world. And I survived. That's what everyone said when I got off that plane in San Francisco. You survived, boy. You're one of the lucky ones. They were wrong. See, here's what they don't tell you about survival. It's not the end of the war. It's just a different kind of fight. And this one I lost. Badly. I brought the war home with me. Not in my duffel bag, in my chest, in my hands that shook when they got too quiet, in the rage that lived right behind my eyes waiting for any excuse to break through. I brought it home in the silence, that heavy, suffocating silence that felt safer than saying anything real. I met a woman 3 months after I got back, beautiful, kind, patient. She thought she could love the war out of me. We got married in '72, had 2 kids by '75. From the outside, we looked squared away, house in the suburbs, steady job at the factory. I showed up, I provided, I did what I was supposed to do. But I wasn't there, not really. I was still in that jungle, still watching the tree line, still waiting for something to go wrong. And when nothing went wrong, I made sure it did. With whiskey, with silence, with walls so high my own kids couldn't climb them if they tried. My wife would ask me simple questions. How was your day? What are you thinking about? And I'd shut down, or I'd explode over nothing. A door left open, dishes in the sink. Anything could set me off because everything reminded me that I didn't deserve the peace they were trying to give me. Here's the part that haunts me. I never hit anyone. I never raised my hand, but I might as well have. Because what I did was worse. I turned myself into a ghost in my own home, present but absent, breathing but not alive, and they paid the price for my survival. I need you to understand something before I go any further. The thing about PTSD, we didn't even call it that back then. We called it being jumpy, or having a short fuse, or my personal favorite, he just needs time to adjust. Time, like 20 years wasn't enough. My son was born in '73. Beautiful kid. Had his mother's eyes. And you know what I remember most about his childhood? Nothing. I was there physically, sure. I drove him to Little League twice. But I couldn't tell you a single game he played. I couldn't tell you what position he wanted or if he was any good. Because every time I sat in those bleachers, I wasn't watching my boy. I was scanning the parking lot, checking exits, waiting for something to go sideways. He tried. God, he tried. He'd bring me his drawings from school. Dad, look what I made. And I'd glance at it for half a second and say something like, "That's nice, buddy," without even seeing what it was. Then I'd go back to staring at the wall or pouring another drink. My daughter came in 7'5". She learned faster than her brother. Learned that Daddy doesn't like loud noises. Learned that Daddy doesn't like questions. Learned that the safest version of Daddy is the quiet one with the glass in his hand. She was 7 years old and already walking on eggshells in her own damn house. You want to know the worst part? I told myself I was protecting them. That's the lie I fed myself every single night. They don't need to know what I saw. They don't need to carry what I carry. So I locked it all down, buried it deep, and I thought that made me strong. I thought that made me a good father. What it made me was a stranger. My wife held on longer than she should have. 15 years of trying to reach a man who built bunkers around his heart. 15 years of one-word answers and emotional minefields. She'd cry in the bedroom at night. I could hear her through the wall, and instead of going to her, instead of saying, "I'm sorry," or "I'm broken," or "Please help me," I'd pour another drink and tell myself she just didn't understand. She left in '87, took the kids. I didn't even fight it. Just signed the papers and moved into a one-bedroom apartment that smelled like cigarettes and regret. Told myself they were better off. And you know what? They probably were. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. My son stopped calling after 2 years. My daughter tried for a while longer, but eventually, silence. The same silence I'd been giving them their whole lives. I had survived the war, but I had lost my family. I lived alone for 18 years. 18 years of the same routine. Wake up, go to work, come home, drink until I couldn't think, pass out, repeat. I told myself I was fine, that this was just how life was now, that some men are meant to be alone. Then in 2005, I got a phone call. My daughter. First time in 3 years, her voice was different, careful, like she was talking to a stranger, which I guess she was. "Dad," she said, "I'm getting married, and I wanted to let you know, not an invitation, just information. Like telling me about the weather. I should have been happy. I should have asked about the guy, about the wedding, about her life. But all I could think was, she's not asking me to walk her down the aisle. She's not asking me to be there at all." That's good, sweetheart," I managed. "I'm happy for you." Silence on the other end. Then, "Are you, Dad? Are you happy? Because I don't think I've ever seen you happy. Not once in my entire life." That hit different than any bullet I'd ever dodged. She kept going. "I used to think it was my fault, that I wasn't good enough, that if I was quieter, better, smarter, maybe you'd look at me the way other dads looked at their kids. But Mom helped me understand. You weren't absent because of us. You were absent because of you." I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but she was right, and we both knew it. "I'm getting married next June," she said, "and I hope you figured out how to be present by then, because I don't need you to walk me down the aisle. I need you to actually see me, just once." She hung up. I sat in that apartment for 3 days, didn't go to work, didn't drink, just sat there with her words playing over and over in my head. "I don't think I've ever seen you happy, not once in my entire life." 57 years old, and I realized I'd wasted 34 of them being dead inside. That's when something broke. Not broke, like shattered, broke like a dam finally given way, and I cried. First time since '71. Cried for the men I'd lost in Vietnam. Cried for the years I'd stolen from my kids. Cried for the woman who'd tried to save me and couldn't. Cried for the life I could have had if I'd just asked for help. But here's the thing about breaking down. Sometimes you have to fall completely apart before you can put yourself back together the right way. The next morning, I made a phone call to the VA. 5 words I should have said 30 years earlier. "I need help, please." Therapy wasn't some magic fix. It wasn't like the movies where you talk for an hour and suddenly everything's better. It was messy, painful. There were sessions where I couldn't speak, just sat there staring at the wall while this patient VA counselor waited. There were sessions where I'd get angry and storm out. And there were sessions where I finally said the things I'd buried for 34 years. I talked about the ambush outside Da Nang, about holding my buddy Martinez while he bled out, telling him he was going to make it when we both knew he wasn't, about the guilt of being the one who lived, about coming home and not knowing how to be human anymore. The counselor, veteran himself from Desert Storm, he said something that changed everything. You didn't leave the war. You just stopped fighting the enemy and started fighting yourself. He was right. I'd turned all that combat energy inward, against my family, against any chance of peace. 6 months into therapy, I wrote my daughter a letter. Not an email, a real letter. Took me 4 tries to get it right. I didn't make excuses, didn't say, "You don't understand what I went through." I just said, "I was wrong, I was broken, and I made you pay for it. I'm sorry, and I'm trying to fix what I can still fix." I didn't expect her to respond, but 3 weeks later, she called. "Dad," she said, "I got your letter." Long pause. I'm not ready to forgive everything, but I'm willing to try. That was enough. That was more than I deserved. I went to her wedding, June 2006, and for the first time in my life I was actually present, not scanning exits, not counting threats, just watching my daughter in her white dress, smiling in a way I'd never bothered to notice before. She didn't ask me to walk her down the aisle. Her stepfather did that, but she asked me to dance with her. One dance, unchained melody, playing while I held my daughter and tried not to fall apart. My son, that's a longer road. We talk maybe twice a year, polite, distant. He's got walls like I had. I'm trying not to push, trying to respect that some damage takes longer to heal. But I'm trying. That's the point. I'm finally trying. I go to group therapy every Thursday. Me and 8 other vets, all different wars, all carrying the same weight. We talk. We listen. We call each other when the darkness gets too heavy. It's not perfect. Some nights I still wake up in that jungle, but now I know what to do. I breathe. I ground myself. I call someone. I don't fight it alone anymore. So why am I telling you all this? Why am I sitting, putting my shame on display for strangers on the internet? Because I see you. Young men and women coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever they're sending you now. I see you at the VA. I see you in the grocery store, that 1,000-yard stare while you're holding a bag of coffee. I see you trying to act normal while your hands shake and your heart races for no damn reason. And I need you to hear this. You don't have to do what I did. You don't have to waste 30 years being a ghost in your own life. That war you just fought, it's over. But the war in your head, that one's just starting, and you can't win it alone. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how many firefights you survived or how many medals they pinned on your chest. This enemy is different. This enemy knows all your weaknesses because it lives inside you. Talk to someone today, not next month, not when you feel ready. Because here's what I learned too late. You'll never feel ready. There will always be another excuse. I'm fine. It's not that bad. Real men don't need therapy. Nobody understands anyway. Those are the lies that cost me my family. Don't let them cost you yours. If you're sitting there thinking, he doesn't get it, my situation is different, you're right. Your war is different. Your trauma is different. But the silence, the isolation, the drinking, the rage, that's all the same. And it ends the same way, too. With people who love you walking away because they can't reach someone who won't let them in. Your kids are watching you right now. Your spouse is trying to understand. Your parents are worried sick. And every day you wait, every day you tell yourself you can handle it alone, you're building walls that get harder to tear down. I'm not saying therapy fixes everything. I'm not saying you'll ever be the same person you were before deployment. You won't. That version of you is gone. But you can become someone new, someone who carries the weight without letting it crush everyone around them. My daughter has a son now, my grandson. He's 4 years old and he calls me Papa. I get to be present for him in ways I never was for his mother. That's my second chance. That's grace I don't deserve, but I'll take it anyway. But you know what? You don't need a second chance. You can get it right the first time. You can come home from war and actually come home. Not just your body, all of you. Don't wait 50 years to ask for help. Don't make your kids walk on eggshells. Don't turn the people who love you into collateral damage. The war is over. Let it be over, please. If this story reminded you of someone, your father, your grandfather, your brother, share it with them. Not because it'll fix everything, but because sometimes people need to know they're not the only ones carrying this weight. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, for the next veteran who needs to hear they're not alone. The VA crisis line is available 24/7. Call 988, then press 1, or text 838-255. There's no shame in reaching out. The only shame is in suffering when help is right there waiting. Stay strong, stay present. And remember, coming home isn't just about surviving the war. It's about learning to live after it.